everyone, and welcome to week 4 of college football. We're in a new environment this week. We're at the studios of WJCT TV, where our home is now for Gator Bowl sports. Let's talk a little bit about football with James as we enter week 4 college football.
Visit your local Toyota dealers today. Toyota, let's go places.
What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36, and I'm here with Greg McGarity, and this is the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl Drive to Selection Show presented by Toyota, where each and every week we bring you the state of college football and how it relates to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl played here in Jacksonville, Florida on December 27th. What's going on, Greg? We missed you last week.
It's good to be back. Exciting week last weekend and another weekend of some really good games.
Yeah, well, exciting things here, as you noticed. We have made this into my Saleh Jesse Raphael talk show. So we have nice foliage, all these other different things, trying to step it up as we renovate the Everbank Stadium where the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl is played. We will continue to bring you great stuff as we renovate here. Also, this weekend, before we get into the business of it, if you're a chairman's club or if you're considering it, this is the weekend why. Because we have a really, really cool, swanky weekend where we go to Amelia Island and we all fellowship with different businesses here locally here in Jacksonville, where it kind of gives you the benefit of why you want to be a part of the Gator Bowl's Chairman's Club, all those different things. Can you tell us just a little bit about what that weekend means to the Gator Bowl?
Well, there's a lot of fun and fellowship, and I'm confident the weather will cooperate, but we've got probably around 250, 275 people that we're expecting at the Omni. And it's just fun and fellowship. And we gather and have a beachside reception on Friday night, enjoy a lot of food, fellowship, and golf, and luncheons on Saturday. And it all culminates with a dinner Saturday night while we watch 2 really great football games that night. And heck, the next day the Jags play. So a lot of great things packed in a short amount of time, but a lot of fun and probably the highlight of the year for our corporate members.
Last couple of years, there have been some really, really crazy games. Mm-hmm. We had the Colorado State, a million overtime game that happened. We've also saw, I think that weekend we saw Florida upset Tennessee, I believe it was that year. So we also saw USF battle Alabama in the pouring down rain. There's all kinds of games, all kinds of fun and fellowship. And again, all that stuff affects us here with the Gator Bowl. Last weekend, games were interesting. Some of them went the way we expected them. Some of them not so much. Right. Let's talk about the SEC first. What were some shocking things that happened in SEC, and what were some not so shocking things?
Well, I think the Georgia-Tennessee game was kind of a classic. 2 teams that are really talented. Georgia took advantage of a Tennessee mistake there at the end of the game. And I think Kirby even acknowledged that they were lucky to win that game. But the game that I thought had more shock than anything else was Vanderbilt beating South Carolina the way they did. And I know Sellers got hurt in that game, but still to give up 31 points to Vandy just showed that they're for real this year.
Yeah, you can't just call them nerds anymore. They're actually taking on they're embodying Cornelius Vanderbilt, like their founder. Like he was a badass. I ain't gonna lie to you. If you watch the Men Who Built America, you'll learn a lot more about that guy. But Pavia, the quarterback, proving that he runs his mouth, but you can talk as much trash as you want if you're going to back it up.
That's right. I think they're not no one's going to overlook them now like you used to against Vandy, but. Also, LSU winning in an ugly manner against Florida was another game that really was pivotal in the SEC. But LSU showed that, you just have to find a way to win the game. It may not be that pretty, and Florida obviously had some difficulty offensively, but defensively they played one hell of a game.
I think it's actually one of the benefits of the NIL transfer portal era that a lot of people are overlooking. Yeah. You don't have your traditional powers may have a down year, and games might be closer, and even if you're recruiting at a high level, you still might not know because 5 turnovers, you should probably beat that team the way Vanderbilt beat South Carolina. Right. But that's a testament that maybe they still are fighting down there in Gainesville a little bit, even though they have absolutely no idea what they're kind of having to figure out at the quarterback position. Alabama, was able to kind of bounce back a little bit. Interesting the way they've been covered in the media. You know, and I'll say this same thing about South Florida, even though it has no effect on us. South Florida beats 2 ranked teams, and they lose to a top 5 team.
Right.
Alabama gets beat handily by an unranked team at the time, play Sisters of the Poor, and then beat a Power 4, a Power 2, I would say, team in Wisconsin pretty convincingly. Now they're on the rise. So, but brand name means something still in this game. But what are your thoughts about Alabama, Wisconsin?
Well, I think Alabama just showed their dominance up front, and I just think Wisconsin's a middle of the road team in the Big Ten this year. But I think the Alabama FSU game just shows how good FSU is and how maybe Alabama didn't play up maybe to their expectations. I think they were shocked. But that all worked itself out. So I think not this week. Both Alabama and Georgia are off this week. But next week is going to be a battle in Athens. But I think Alabama's going to get back to Alabama football. And they've got all the players in the world. I just think they were getting over the shock of that opening night game in a very difficult environment in Tallahassee. But needless to say, the Noles have it going.
Shifting over to the ACC a little bit, a team that started shocking everybody, ever since he took the head coaching job. Brent Key is one of my favorite coaches in college football. He's got Georgia Tech playing hard, and they've always played hard. I remember playing them as a player and hating playing them because they just always seem to play us tougher than what everybody else has. No, they're shocking people. They beat a Clemson team that, everybody had as a college football playoff team covering the NFL. They have tons of guys with high NFL grades. Just kind of sleepwalking right now. Talk about Georgia Tech. What's your thoughts on them, and even a little bit more about what Clemson's going through?
Well, I think, like you said, Coach Key is a former Letterman. He loves Georgia Tech, and he has those young men believing. And when you have Haynes King leading the charge at quarterback, who probably the most underestimated quarterback in college football. I love the kid. I mean, he is as tough as they come. And their defense is playing well this year, and they took advantage of the opportunity. The way they executed that last field goal with no timeouts left was remarkable. And I think Clemson, they really have been struggling offensively. Defensively, they've been playing well, but offensively, they have really just struggled in finding an identity because Klubnik's not getting the job done passing. They've got some great talented players. We saw a couple of them step forward, but they're just struggling this year, but they'll rebound. I think Clemson at the end of the year is going to have 8 or 9 wins. I think they'll struggle against some teams on their schedule, especially at the end of the year. They really have a tough schedule at the end of the year. But those, I think Georgia Tech's for real this year. I think they have a chance to win 10 or 11 games this year.
Really, really good. It felt good to watch the field goal that Georgia Tech made and not be on the opposite side of that, because that felt very much like Ireland against FSU. Shout out to my high school's alum, Amari Harvey, is over there making a lot of noise at Georgia Tech as one of their starting corners. Miami's been saying they're back since I was in grade school. It's a long time ago, as my son tells me. Could this finally be the year that they're back?
Well, I think in today's world with NIL and everything, obviously they paved the way.
You said it right.
Paved the way.
They paved the way to pave the way.
Where they've got some really talented players, and I think the difference in them this year is their line of scrimmage. I think on both ends they're giving Carson. I don't know if he's been touched yet, so we'll see how that continues to go. But I just think this may be their year, and I can't wait to see FSU play Miami this year. It's going to be like back in the day when you played a game that the whole nation will be watching. So I can't wait for that game to happen, and it's not that far off.
No, it's not. Miami might get 2 back-to-back game days. That will be October 4th. The lucky scouts for that one will be excited. That's a great game to pick. Tons of talent on there. Carson Beck, Mandarin High School alumni, doing very, very well. Sticking with I guess he didn't like the red and black. You need to go back to orange and green to be able to find out who he was. Florida State had a bye week. Duke, who played here last year, was going through some interesting stuff. They paid to get them a nice quarterback, and that team that they took the quarterback from returned the favor with Tulane. Are there any other teams in the ACC that probably we should be looking at a little bit more intently that could potentially wind up here at the Gator Bowl?
I think it's going to be I think Miami, FSU. I think Clemson's still going to come into play. I just think they'll get it going at some point in time. And the good thing about conference play is you can still get to the championship game. If you get to the championship game, you have a chance to be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So as Notre Dame, they don't have a conference championship, so they have to do it on the field. I don't think they have any ranked opponents left to play this year. But I don't think you should sleep on Clemson. But I think Tech, Miami, FSU are the class of the league right now. So I think those three teams are in for a great year.
Moving toward this weekend, real quick, what are some games, some matchups that we should be looking for, both on the SEC and the ACC side?
We're really just two on the SEC side. You've got Oklahoma and Auburn playing, which is going to be a great battle, a true test for both those schools to see what happens. And then you've got South Carolina going to Missouri. So Missouri's got kind of a light schedule this year. So be interested to see if Sellers plays this weekend. If they do, how can South Carolina slow down a Missouri offense that is really a juggernaut? But of the 20 teams that are playing in the SEC and the ACC this week, there are only 5 games intra-conference play. 15 other games where schools are playing non-conference games. So it's kind of light in those type regards, but also probably a big crossover game is Florida at Miami. So a lot of eyes will be watching that, but a little light on the ranked teams versus ranked teams, but still some games that are going to be really a lot of fun to watch.
Florida, Miami, I'm here is hoping that they both find a way to lose. Don't know if that can happen or not. I'm not sure if that's in the rules. But, again, it could be Florida needs a win. Yep. They need anything right now so that season doesn't tank. But to use one of your favorite quotes that I like to use, Florida got a tough road to hoe. Yep. The only unranked team they play is a Mississippi State team that is much improved and playing very well. So Miami, college football game day, 7:30. A lot of things not going against them, going their way. But should be fun. Another fun-filled weekend. Real quick, what are some of the things so that when people go around and they're picking, we're trying to predict the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl, what are some of the things that they need to make sure that they keep in mind?
Well, we cannot have Duke or Ole Miss play in our game, okay? Clemson could be a long shot, but it's they don't have a disqualifier in play. Notre Dame's back in play this year. But the teams that go up in the college football playoff, then we get basically the remains of that. But you can't have rematches of this year's game. You really don't you want to avoid games that are already scheduled for next year. And certainly you don't want rematches of last year's bowl games, even if it were at other sites. So those are some disclaimers. So if anybody's picking Duke or Ole Miss, I wouldn't pay much attention to that. But I think everybody else is pretty much in line to be a potential player in our game.
So there will be no Alabama FSU rematch in the Gator Bowl, as much as we would, that would be exciting and probably sell a lot of tickets. Nor will there be a Florida Miami rematch after this weekend. That would be deaded. So, but outside of that, appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. See you guys at Chairman's Club Weekend. And if you're not, and you're listening to this, you need to become a member of the Chairman's Club so that we can get you there having a great time, because that's actually where one of the teams stays for the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. So you can see the luxury and why this is one of the premier bowl games in the United States. For Greg McGarity, I'm at Big Game James _36. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us at the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl Drive to Selection Show presented by Toyota. We'll see you next time.
Visit your local Toyota dealers today. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back to another edition of Off the Field. It was an uncoordinated but perfectly matched pink day, so it's only fitting for today's filming in the Off the Field. We have a couple of things to talk about. First, we're going to recap one of our favorite events of the year, which happened last Friday, which was College Football 101. We went deep into football this year with the ladies. James Coleman and Justin Renfro, who are members, brought along their friends in Chris Payton-Jones and Mandarin head football coach Toby Bullock, who really took us into what it means, what we're seeing on the field, defense strategy, offensive strategy. We all came out smarter as of that. If you go on our social media, there's a really fun reel of the members engaging with the coaches and players. And I would just encourage you to join the Bold Ladies if you have not yet, because honestly, it's probably one of the most fun events I've been to in some time. And then this week, there's some fun stuff going on.
It is. Yes, it is Extra Yard for Teachers Week this week. So we talked a little bit about it last week. It is a College Football Playoff Foundation initiative where they just encourage anyone in college football to love on teachers. If you watched College Game Day this past weekend, you probably saw a really great segment on a teacher. And we love being able to love on teachers throughout the year, especially this week. So yesterday, we had the privilege of going to 3 different schools across Northeast Florida. We were in Duval County at Northwestern Legends, in Clay County at Orange Park High School, and in St. Johns County at Gamble Rogers Middle School, where we got to surprise all of their teachers with just a goodie bag of just snacks and energy drinks and things to just say thank you to them. We spent time last week at ViStar Credit Union with their some of their staff, and we handwrote notes to each of those teachers and then packed these bags. And then yesterday, like I said, got to go in with some incredible foundations in the education foundations in those communities, ViStar employees, and some of the Green Jackets to surprise these teachers. In addition, we got to surprise one teacher at each of those schools with an MBT grant, so $1,000 to use in their classroom. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of those as we do one every single week throughout college football season. I'll remind y'all, it is a nomination process. So if you want to nominate a teacher to be our most valuable teacher this year in partnership with FIS and the College Football Playoff Foundation, you can click below and it's a random draw. So who knows if we're going to pick their person.
Last but certainly not least, if you have not heard the news, we are losing a member of our very amazing staff team. Come on up. Come on up, Donovan. It's not us. I was just thinking as Kayla was talking, like, the best way to end this would be to just dump him in the river because we don't really want to see him go. But Donovan's leaving us. The end of this week will be his final week. And you want to share what you're doing?
Yep. So I'm accepting a role with the Chicago Bears in their ticket operations office, just a role that allows me to take the next step in my career while also returning to my hometown, Chicago. So very sad to leave here, but also excited for what's next.
Let's just all make sure we text him in November when he's wearing a coat and we're all still out here in sunshine on the river. We'll be out with more information on what the replacement looks like in this role. We're working on that right now. But in the meantime, enjoy some great college football this weekend, and we'll see you next week.